So, episode 3 is controller biology, believe it or not, and maybe the Game Boy as well if I'm feeling particularly sadistic. Here we have the Dreamcast controller. Here we have the PS2 controller, if I can even say it. Here we have a dismantled Charizard nanoblock. And here we have the Raspberry Pi 2 with what I started to try and make, which was a little kind of case / dock for it out of the Charizard, but as you can see, I haven't got very far. I tried to go to the store today to pick up some more nanoblock to try and complete that, but that's the least of my worries at the moment. Let's take these controllers apart. Yeah. So I have to say, so far so good. The inside of the back of the Dreamcast controller, if that makes any sense, is pretty well set up for what I want to do. Basically, I'm just going to cut it straight down the middle, like that. As you can see here, it dips, and that's where the memory units and the VMU went back in the day. I have got a tool to cut it up with. I'm not sure how much I can do of that at the moment. I'm sorry about the audio. Maybe you can hear the cicadas outside. It's pissing it down as well, so I apologise about that. So that's stage 1 of the Dreamcast controller. This, I think, is a winner. Just split it straight down the middle, separate it, and we'll see where we go. So interestingly, the buttons on the inside of the Dreamcast controller are there, and there's nothing on here. I don't really know much about this, but the other thing is that the Dreamcast joystick is screwed to the circuit board, so I'm going to unscrew that and see what's underneath. Just for shits and giggles, just to try and figure out how it works. Also, this little plastic bit here that was inside here has become fully detached from the circuit board, so that could prove quite useful, especially with trying to use a housing for the Raspberry Pi console unit. If I can figure out how to use it effectively, then that could be useful. Also, unless I go and buy endless amounts of Dreamcast controllers, I only get one shot at carving these up. So I think the main thing that I'm going to try and do is make the housing for the Pi unit first, and then go from there. Because I've got a Dreamcast controller, a PS2 controller, and a Game Boy. So hopefully, as I said, this will be quite useful. A worthy sacrifice. Your life will not be in vain. Little plastic housing for the memory card units for the Dreamcast. So, onto the PS2. Oh no, hang on. I'm going to take the joystick off of the circuit board to see what's underneath that first. Next up is the PS2 controller. It's seen better days. I've already kind of put it on the table, and it's doing some very interesting things, so not to worry. So I'm going to take the back off and then see what happens. Not much going on so far, but I can identify that these are the cams that make it vibrate, so won't be needing those. The circuit board is obviously much smaller than the Dreamcast, which is a good thing. So let me just turn this over and take the top off, turn it over. So I've put the Dreamcast controller circuit board back underneath the PS2 controller for scale. Now, I kind of made a bit of a boo-boo. There obviously is another circuit board at the top, and the joysticks were connected down here, which is fine. I don't see a problem with that at all. As I said, it's more for kind of scale, form factor type thing. I'll try and fit all the electrical gubbins into it later. For now, I just want to work on a concept of having a physical shell that I can put the Raspberry Pi screen unit cartridge, which I'm not going to bother trademarking, but that's basically what I want to do, is take the Dreamcast controller bit apart, split it in half, widen it, and so that I can just drop in a screen into the middle, kind of where the memory unit was before. Obviously these are the cams that make the vibration, so I won't be needing those. I'm going to just investigate further into how the joysticks are connected to the circuit board, and we'll go from there. So after further investigation and very, very delicately ripping these things off of the controller, I've discovered that the pad is connected, the two kind of the digital bits, which are the face buttons and the triangle, circle, square and cross buttons are connected to the analog bit, which is the joysticks underneath here. They're connected via a wire. So like I said, in order to kind of make this work realistically, I'm going to need to know a lot more about electronics. But for now, as I said, taking apart the controller just to like position the face buttons and stuff like that, I think I should be okay. And like I said, the this part here is literally just a piece of plastic that's without getting my dirty mitts in the way, is just a piece of circuit board that's attached to a piece of plastic. So, you know, we'll see. This is where the main gubbins is. But like I said, it's for positional purposes only. I mean, there are breadboards out there that I can put like D-pads and buttons on and stuff like that. If I have a bit more technical know-how about how to rip apart a PlayStation 3 controller and keep it working, I will try my best. But as I said, it's so far so good. As a special, I don't know if it's a treat, but anyway, I have decided to take the Game Boy apart as well. As you can see, I've put on top of it the Raspberry Pi console, which is pretty much takes up the whole of the top of the Game Boy. So in terms of size, it might be a bit tight. But we'll see. I'm gonna open up the Game Boy, see what's inside. Also see how big this the actual dot matrix display is to get a direct comparison. So I've opened it up. There's a bit more unscrewing to do. It put up a lot more of a problem than the Dreamcast controller and the PS3 controller combined, or PS2 controller combined. So a little bit more unscrewing, and anyway, we'll see how we go. So I've gone about as far as I can, or can be bothered to today. I might just lift the screen off of the circuit board itself from the Game Boy, but other than that, there's not much else it's going to tell me, I don't think. It was an absolute bugger to take apart. So again, as I said, the form factor is pretty much the width of the Raspberry Pi. If this project does go far enough that I get a 5-inch screen, the Game Boy might be quite useful to keep hold of in terms of actually using it as a housing for that. The idea for the Big Brother project was to have the screen actually integrated into the unit, so that all I needed to do was take the actual Pi out and then attach that to the TV. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. I'm going to wait for the screen to arrive, which will hopefully be within the next couple of days. And I did buy myself a new toy, which means that I can start making a mess with these controllers and see if I can fashion MacGyver style something together to house all of these electrical bits and pieces that I don't really understand. But we'll see how we go. Next episode, I will be cutting into the controllers, and I will be doing a bit more playtesting, particularly with the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and a couple of the Sega games as well. Cheers guys, next episode. Laters.